Hello friends, welcome to my lecture, second lecture on this faculty development training program of technical teachers training. The topic we are discussing about is outcome based education. Let us go through the first lecture in brief within 2 to 3 minutes. So we have discussed about what is exactly outcome based education. We have discussed about what do we mean by outcome, and whenever we want to define about the outcome, at that time what is exactly we have to define and what is exactly we want to perform. Then we had some examples of what could be the outcome of a lecture. It could be outcome of a unit. It could be outcome of a let us say subject. It can be outcome of a program. So then we discussed about the Bloom's taxonomy. There are 6 parameters in the Bloom's taxonomy, wherein the student performs various is able to perform various activities. He can remember the things, he can understand the things, he can apply the things, analyze, evaluate and create. This we have discussed in the first lecture, and this one we have also discussed, in which I was trying to link between what is exactly the teacher is teaching and what is the students are learning from the teacher and what is expected from the students. Then there are 2 types of knowledge, as we know. There is one knowledge dimension. So what you can see here is this is a knowledge dimension, and this is a cognitive process. So there are this side is called as a cognitive dimension, and we say that these are all the Bloom's taxonomy. Next is again we discussed about what is that teacher is trying to exactly teach, and what activities the teacher is doing, and what is exactly being built into the students' skills. So there are 3 skills we are trying to teach them. So we are going to give them knowledge, we are going to give them skill, and we are going to teach them the attitude. Okay, attitude is not taught, but there are some things that we are doing so that he is improving his attitude. And we what we did is we try to resemble, or we try to connect between the knowledge dimension and the cognitive process dimension. This is how to identify the gap and all, what knowledge dimensions are there and what are the different skills we are giving them. Okay, there are 3 you can say skills. One is called as mental skills, that is exactly the knowledge you are giving them. One is manual or physical skills, that is by utilizing the knowledge that we have given to them, they are going to perform their own task by applying some procedures. And growth in feeling, and that is called as the attitude. This we have discussed in the last lecture, and these are the dimensions of the cognitive process. So there are these 6 dimensions. Out of the first 3 dimensions are related to the knowledge dimension. The last 3 dimensions are related to the, you can say, the skill or physical skills, and overall the complete 6 dimensions are concerned with the growth in feeling or the attitude. So some examples I want to discuss. So these are the things that we have discussed yesterday. Today, so let us move ahead, and let us try to discuss about the different what you can say is what could be the outcomes and all. So the different examples of POs I want to discuss about. So these I'll show you. Whatever these, I'm sorry. So whatever these dimensions, they are there, all these dimensions. So these dimensions are about the knowledge dimension, and these dimensions are the skill dimensions. There we have discussed previously. Okay, so what are the different skills that you are going to get? So here, let us say the you can see here the factual is the basic element a student must know, and The second one is conceptual. We have discussed this one previously, the interrelation between the basic elements. So now what is the skill he is going to earn is knowledge. He is going to understanding of financial market. This is, let us say, consider an example. So this is one of the skills. That can be many skills. So the skill he is learning is knowledge from these two things. So knowledge, we have said that this can be interrelated. First, second, we have interrelated with this one, and the second one is interrelated with the skill, and the third one, metacognitive, is interrelated with the attitude. Okay, so from the first two, he is going to earn the knowledge and understanding of financial market product, or let us say if it is a case of data structure, at that time he will be able to understand the definition of stack and how does the stack works, how does the queue works, how we can implement array. And then here in the second case, it is a procedure, and we are going to teach him the different procedures, and there he will be earning the skills, how to implement stack by using linked list, how to implement stack by, let us say, using array, or what are the different ways how to represent the data and all the things. I am talking in terms of computer, this one, but this is applicable everywhere, and here he will be able to attain some, or able to gain some skills. And the third one is the attitude and the market environment and the professional behavior, so metacognitive. So this is a linking, I will say, and some examples of the POs is provided here. For example, for the factual and conceptual knowledge, what is the skill he is going to learn is he is going to learn about the knowledge. And one example of program outcomes I am giving here: understand the nature and basic concept of data storage, data access, and define data dictionary by identifying appropriate data structure. So this program outcome is for it could be CSE, and what courses he is learning over here is, he may be learning about database management system, he may be applicable to data structures, it may be applicable to, let us say, some programming languages, or it can be applicable to some other advanced database subjects and all. For the skill, so now here he is understanding, now you can see here he is understanding the basic nature and understanding the nature and basic concepts of the data storage and data access, and define data dictionary by identifying the appropriate data. Whereas here he is capable of using the tool. So now he is able to apply his skill, and he is able to use the skills. So create, select, and apply appropriate techniques, resources, and modern engineering and IT tools, including prediction and modeling, to complex engineering activities with an understanding of the limitation. Now here he is capable to understand, he is capable to apply the things, he has some skills. And the third one is about the attitude. So attitude is about, let us say, one program object outcome of the attitude can be ability to lead themselves and others in the achievement of organization goals, contributing effectively to the team environment. So these are the terms which are very much important whenever which are very much important, and we need to consider these terms whenever we want to go for outcome based education. So these are the some examples I have given. I will be giving some more examples in future. So what I have done here is I have made a relation between the knowledge dimension and the cognitive process dimension. So here you can see here this x-axis is my, y-axis is my knowledge dimension. So there is factual knowledge, there is conceptual knowledge, there is you can say procedural knowledge, and there is metacognitive knowledge. And what is happening if I am doing here, and what ability the student will have. So whenever I am giving the factual knowledge, and whenever I expect the student should remember at that time, he will list out some lists. Let us say I am giving some knowledge on what are the different data structures available, and I want him to remember the different data structures. He will be able to list what are the different data structures. For example, he will say array is one data structure, then stack is one data structure, then queue is one data structure, linked list is one data structure, and then binary search tree or tree are one data structure, and so on. there can be many data structures. There can be some graphs and all. So he will be able to remember. He will be able to list out the things. So factual knowledge and remember. So this is called as you can say so interrelation. Whenever you are giving the factual knowledge and you want him to understand, at the time he will summarize. He will say that this is linked list, this is stack, this is queue, and he will give you how they are working out. So that is called as the summarize. For here it is classify. He will be able to classify what are the linear data structure and what are the non-linear data structure. So which are all the linear data structures and which are all the non-linear data structure. He will also be able to classify about which are all the primitive data structure and which are all the non-primitive data structure. Okay, and here in analyze he will be able to order out. For example, let us say you have taught him some sorting techniques, and in the sorting techniques you have taught him some 7 to 8 algorithms. At that time he can order, he can say that this particular algorithm has this much of complexity, this second algorithm has some complexity, third algorithm has some complexity, and so on. So he can order them. In the ranking he can say that the first X algorithm is having the highest, I can say the best complexity, and he can combine. Sometimes it may be required, like let us say in terms of algorithm only, the best sorting algorithm is n log n, and it is merge sort. Okay, now merge sort can be applied for huge data size, but when the data size is very low, at that time it is not necessary to apply the merge sort. There it can be you can apply insertion sort. So if let us say if a array of 10 lakh is given, at that time how to let us say how I can which technique I should apply. So when 10 lakh size is given, at that time he should go for merge sort, and after merging the arrays into smaller arrays, some time will come so that each element is having 100 elements. At that time he can sort this directly by using, let us say, the insertion sort or the simple sorting techniques, and he will return the result to back. So this is he will be able to create. So in the same way I have tried to given you some words or exact combinations. So in the conceptual also you can see there are some he can describe, he can interpret, and this table will help you while designing your course outcome or program outcome. So this is specifically very much easy to use this one to design your course outcomes as well as unit outcomes, lecture outcomes, that also you can create. So I'll moving ahead. So we'll move ahead and we'll see how the program is to be designed in the top-down approach. So this we are discussing right now, and here what you can find is what is the top-down approach to design the program for the outcome-based education. So if you want to design it for the outcome-based education, this is you can say the abstract flow, and this is called as a top-down approach, and this is very much suitable for autonomous institutions which want to have their own curriculum under outcome-based education. This can further continue, course outcomes and all these things can further continue by going ahead and designing some let us say unit outcomes and lecture outcomes. So let me take the pen proper. So what is the way here in the program top-down approach is, first whenever you want to design your own program, at that program design, I am saying this is a program design, you want to design a program, at that time you want to design your own program. Now program is you can say mechanical engineering is one program, computer science engineering is one program. So a program, whenever you want to design, at that time first thing is that you have to devise or you have to decide your vision and mission. Okay, And how to devise this and how to come with this, we'll discuss in some of the further lectures. So we have to design about, we have to think about, or we have to identify our vision and mission as of institute as well as the department. Now we will have some vision mission of the institute, and you will have some vision and mission of the departments. Let us say department number 1 and department number 2. This is program actually. And this vision whatever you have decided, so they should resemble to the institute vision. Similarly, department mission should be resembling with the you can say mission of the institute. So this is very much important. Again, after identifying what are your mission and what is your mission, vision, first thing is that you have to identify your vision. This is the first thing you have to do, and you have to identify some mission statement which should resemble to your vision. Okay, so vision is something you want to achieve at longer period of the time. For example, after 10 years I want to become this one, I want to become center of excellence, or our institute want to become the best institute in the our state, or something, some vision you want to define. It can be like I'm going to have some vision statement in the next slides. And mission is for achieving this vision, what are the actions you are taking in the short period of time. For example, in next 6 months, or next 1 year, or next 2 years, or next 3 years, what you are going to do. So vision is in longer range and mission is in smaller range, and which should be done to achieve the decided vision. Once this is done, you have to identify. Now this is for institute and this is for department. So vision and mission should be decided. Vision should be for institute as well as department. Mission should be decided for institute as well as department. And mission statement, institute mission statement. So there should be 3 to 5. There can be 3 to 5 mission statement, and they all should be executed. If they all are executed, we will be able to achieve the vision. Next thing is that coming to the program. Now program educational objective. Now what is this program educational objective is? You want to decide about what are your objective, what exactly. Now let us consider that you are in a phase to design your course, design your program. At that time, what are your objectives to achieve? In what way you want to give the what you want that your student should become. Then identifying the program outcomes. Then along with program outcomes, you can add here program specific outcomes, which you can decide, which can be 3 to 5. Then graduate attributes. There are 12 graduate attributes. We will see them. And you have to design program outcomes, and for this particular programs, which are the graduate attributes are required. And for achieving these graduate attributes, first you should decide which courses are necessary. Okay, and what are the outcome of that particular courses. For each course number 1, let us say it is data structure. At the time, what are the course outcomes of this particular subject. Okay, then it can be DMS, let us say, for what is the course outcome of this particular lecture, this particular subject. So this is the called as a top-down design, top-down approach of course outcomes. Coming to the vision statement, so we'll try to discuss all these points one by one. So coming to the vision statement, let me check 1 minute. Okay, so still I have 5 minutes. So coming to the vision statement, what is a vision statement? So vision is a futuristic statement that the institution or department would like to achieve over a long period of time. So just now we have discussed about what is the time. It is long period of time. Okay, so for example, one vision could be since I am working at TKIT Varnanagar, our institute vision is to become Academy of Excellence in Technical Education and Human Resource Development in rural area, or like it could be rural area, or in our city, or in our you can say state. So the vision statement should be small. Remember that the vision statement should not be too lengthy, and it should not be too small, but it should be of 2 lines. So in next 10 years, what you want to achieve, let us say. Some examples I am giving. So the vision example, our vision is to create vision is to, let us say, create high quality engineering professionals, or the vision is to be a premier university that propagates the generation and dissemination of knowledge in cutting edge technologies. Or let us say some institute is having this as a vision statement, to be a center of excellence in education and research, producing global leaders in science, technology and entrepreneurship and the management. So you have to remember that our task is to identify the vision statement, and we must know what is a vision statement. And vision statement is some futuristic statement that we want to, or we would like to achieve over 10 years of this one. And after deciding, now the thing is that how to decide the vision statement, how to come up with the vision statement. It is not a single person task. So this can be done by having a brainstorming sessions, or by having the meetings, or by having some discussions among the different stakeholders. Who could be the different stakeholders? There could be, you can say, I am listing here some 16 stakeholders, but the number of stakeholders can be more. And here in this table I am listing out who are the stakeholders, and I am listing out what is their role. So whether they are involved in the planning, let us say planning of academic activities, or planning of execution of the sometimes they are involved, but for planning of the course they are not involved. For design of the syllabus they are not involved. For implementation they are involved. For evaluation also sometimes they are involved. Faculty is the second stakeholder, and he is involved in planning, he is involved in design, he is involved in implementation, and he is involved in evaluation. So there are many stakeholders. There are some stakeholders, for example AICT is involved in planning, it is not involved in designing of the syllabus. It is involved in implementation, and it is involved in evaluation. So it is evaluating the courses, it is giving some grading sometimes, or specifically NBA is giving some accreditations. Then NAC could be one. You can say accreditation agencies. Parents are some stakeholders, administrators. Then industry is very important. So what you have to do is you have to have a brainstorming session. You have to have the different meetings at different levels with try to have more stakeholders in your consideration, and then you come up with the vision statement. So that is very important. And then what you can do is you can have some process. So when if any institute has gone for NBA, then at that time you may be knowing that we have to everywhere we have to define the process. Okay, and I don't even I wanted to take this process, but I don't think it is necessary, because you can go to the internet and you can make use of many of the different processes they are available. So I cannot tell you that this. So what I was saying is I cannot come up and I cannot tell you that this is a particular process and this should be followed. So there are for different tasks you used to follow different this one process. So every institute is different. So for that purpose, what I feel is the institute should have its own process. But still, if you want to have some process, you can go to internet and you can find out good designs, and always remember to make the changes into it. Try to apply your own process. So this is about the different stakeholders. Moving ahead, let us discuss about what could be the different vision and mission statement. Okay. So in order to discuss this, so moving ahead, discuss about the process which is involved in vision and mission. So in the previous slides we have seen about what is the vision statement and what are the different stakeholders. So now let us discuss about what is the process. So process is straightforward. First of all, you should have the brainstorming or meetings with various stakeholders with reference to the drafting the vision, and you should do it in the two phases. The first phase is you invite your promoters, your administrators, your faculty, and internal you can say board members at the first level, and come up decide what should be our vision. Okay, so deciding a vision is very much important. Now while deciding the vision, it sometimes happens that there are some 4 to 5 people, they sit into some cabin and they decide, yes, this will be our vision. So this should not be happening. This is not a good practice. So it may be happening in many different locations, but the thing is that it should not happen. And the second level is about you come up with some statements and then discuss it with the current students. Okay, so there are two types of people you have. You have two types of stakeholders. One stakeholder is called as internal. So it is I'll write it here. One type of stakeholder is internal stakeholder and another is external stakeholder. So your faculty is an internal stakeholder, your students are internal stakeholders, your administrators are internal stakeholders. Sometimes your promoters can be internal or external. There can be your employees. Some other stakeholders can be your alumni. They can be your industry outside. They can be for example here you can find that there are 16 points and examiner they are coming. They are also your stakeholder. Supporting staff, what are the feedback they are giving you, board members, curriculum developers, then university, AICTE, UGC, NAC, NBA, community society. So if you let us say your institute is at some location and at this particular location, what are the people they think about your institution around your institution, who are doing some businesses, who are doing some tasks, who are doing some work at your nearby your location. So that committee or community, this is not about the people who are working nearby your location, but the people who are our external society, how it is looking to your institution and how they are thinking, what they are thinking about your work. Okay, so that is about your external I will say stakeholders. Then what you have to do is, when you are having the brainstorming, at that time you have to record report of your SWOT. So what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, then what are your opportunities, and what are the threats that you can have. So for example, many of the institutions are in the rural area. Okay, so for the rural area, what could be the strength? Identify. So the institutes in Kolhapur, what is the strength? Mechanical engineering, they have the strength that the industry is available to train the students nearby them. Or what are the different weaknesses that you have? So what are your weaknesses? Okay, you cannot say faculty is our weakness. No, management is our weakness. No, they should come in the strengths. Okay, so what will be the weakness? Weakness is running the institute away from the industry, or you did not have the let us say linkages very much. Building the linkages in industry is very much difficult if your institute is in a rural area. What are your opportunities? So how you can utilize your location or your institute and how you can get some opportunities and improve your institute, and what are your threats. So you have to identify all this and you have to make a report of all this all these people, what all these I will say internal stakeholders are responsible for all this. You cannot call external stakeholders and you cannot ask them to do this particular task for you. Moving ahead, you have to perform about the records and reports of the issue analysis, records and reports of the value analysis, then evidence. You have to keep on the evidence of communication that you have done with the internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, and all the, let us say, alumni feedback records. All these things you have to keep while coming up with the mission statement. And you have to, at some stage, you have to come at this particular location. You have to come up with intermediate vision and mission statement. And finally, if you have the vision and mission statement, you can have a final meeting with your administrative people and with heads of department, and you can come up with the vision and mission statement. Only remember that this is possible. The good vision and it will be achievable. Good mission and they will be achievable if and only if you are applying all these process properly. If in your organization, if 3 to 4 members they are sitting into a cabin and they are deciding that yes बाबा हे माझं vision आहे, हे माझं mission आहे आणि हे माझं objective झालं, so this will not happen. What I am saying is yes baba, this is my vision, and 3 to 4 members are deciding and they are saying that this is my vision, this is my mission, and this is my objective. No, this will not work. What you have to do is you have to try to follow some rule, some process. Okay, I have given you some abstract process. You can apply, you can add on something, and you can draw a flow chart for this and how you are. This is very much important when you want to go to some accreditations and all. So this is about vision, mission, process. Then initially we have discussed about only the vision statement. The process we have discussed about vision and mission both. So here next I will discuss just the mission about the mission statement. So the what are the mission statements? So let us say you have a vision, you have decided a vision, and this is over the long period of time, and in order to achieve this vision, what are the tasks that you are going to do now? They are all called as your mission statement. So what is a mission? Mission statements are essentially the means to achieve the vision. What you are going to do it for today. For example, one example I am giving you here. So these can be some of these, or these whole can be the mission statement. Develop engineering graduates of high repute with professional ethics to excel in academics and research through the innovative techniques, to facilitate the employability, entrepreneurship along with the social responsibility, to collaborate with industries and institutes of national importance or national recognition. It can be importance also. Then to inculcate lifelong learning and respect for the environment. So these are all the missions of my institute, TKIT Varnaga. So these are the mission statement. Sorry for that handwriting, because I have a device, writing device, but it is not properly working. So this is about what is a mission statement, and the process of deciding the mission we have already discussed. Moving ahead, institute or department mission statement. So I have tried to give you some more examples of this is my institute mission statement, and these are some more examples. For example, let me show you. One example is to produce outstanding engineers, brilliant researchers and teachers, great interpreters and leaders. What you can do is you can go to the website of different institutes and you can check out what are their mission. Now the thing is that their mission and your mission should not be same, but you can have some you can get some abstract idea to how to design the mission. Again, this mission, designing the mission, is not the task of 3 to 4 people. Again, it so doing all these things is not a task of 3 to 4 members. Moving ahead, let us discuss about now program educational objectives. So in this top-down approach, the first one was mission, and second one was identifying the POs. Okay. So first of all, let us know about what is a PO. So now this PO, exactly this PO is for a program, for a you can say branch. So PO will be defined for computer science. Let us say it will be defined for mechanical. The PO of a program are the statements that describe the expected achievement of the graduates in their career, and also in particular what the graduates are expected to perform and achieve during the first few years after graduation. Let us say 1 to 3 years, or 1 to 3 years, up to 3 years, what he will be able to do. Okay, so here we have to define about these POs, and it is again very much important to connect these POs with the mission statement. Sometimes it is necessary. So they will ask the accreditation agencies will ask you that how this particular PO is connected to the mission and so on. So some examples of POs are graduates will be able to work effectively in multidisciplinary and multicultural environment. They will be able to function effectively as professionals having excellent interpersonal skills. So generally you can go on creating POs. So there can be 3 POs, there can be 5 POs, 3 to 6 POs, or you can have 3 to 6 POs for your program, for your branch. Okay. So they should be for all the branch, all the let us say dimensions. So it should be for, let us say, this is I am doing it for computer science and engineering. If it is, then the work they will be able to work efficiently in multidisciplinary and multicultural environment. They will be able to function effectively as a professional having excellent interpersonal skills, ethical obligations, then design and develop computing system using modern technologies, acquire capability with aptitude, attitude for higher education and entrepreneurship, lead in their you can say respective domain, and contribute positively to the need of society. So these program educational objectives should be designed such that they should match your mission. So one of the objective of the course, so objective can be for a program as well as it can be for the course. For example, if I am teaching some course of why there should be a change in curriculum, okay, how to design the curriculum, this is a course, then the objective is the main objective of this course is to develop the participant, that means the teacher or potential teacher, the following competency: plan to scientifically design an outcome-based engineering curriculum for employability, enhancement and fulfillment of the industry society needs, following the principle of curriculum, let us say, development. So this is some different type of course I have considered, and for that I have given you the objective of one course. Why I am going to teach this course? The objective means I am going to tell program why I am going to teach you this course and why you have to take this course. So these are my objectives. These are the things that I want to give you. These are my, so in this way. So again, what are the process of drafting the POs? This is also very much important. This resembles with the designing the vision and mission statements. So there are some there can be, again here you can design a process wherein you can draw some flowchart and all. So I am coming up with the steps, I am writing the steps. So again, you should have the brainstorming meeting with various stakeholders with reference to the drafting program educational objective. At the first level, you should have a discussion among promoters and faculty and the administrators. At the second level, you can have it with the current student, and at the third level you can have it with the employers or your alumni, the external stakeholders, rather I will say. Then after having this brainstorming discussion, what you can do is you can draft the POs with reference to the feedback received from the internal and external stakeholders. And while getting this feedback, what you can do is you have to take you can say you have to ask them some questions, you have to take their interviews. So all that things need to be taken and then draft the POs. And once the POs are taken, you have to one step is you have to design the final in the sense corrected set of POs and send it to the approval of the appropriate body. So it can be Board of Governance, or it can be Senate, or it can be any other body. And whatever the POs that we are designing, all these POs should review the records of POs after 5 to 7 years. You have to take the feedback from the stakeholders so as to incorporate the review. You have to you have to always update the POs after 5 to 7 years. So this is very much important. So this is about how the process of how the POs are to be drafted. And sometimes people ask that what are the sample places where we can publish vision, mission and POs. So these are the locations where you can publish vision, mission and POs. So on institute website, department link. Then POs can be again posted on the department link, then department laboratories, chamber of head of the department in seminar hall, then website, notice board, classrooms, head office, course curriculum document, then pocket diary, whatever the diaries that you are giving to the student, faculty diary and departmental magazines, you can put it at the appropriate positions. So again, this is the last point that I want to discuss in this particular lecture, that is dissemination of vision and mission. So how you can disseminate it, that is how you can give it to outside world. So you can discuss all these things in the alumni meet. You can discuss all these vision mission POs with the meetings with the parents, employer meet, orientation program meet of the supporting staff, and counseling aspirants, HOD addressing to the. So these are the different locations where you can disseminate the different vision, mission and POs. So with this I end up with my second lecture. In the next lecture I'll try to continue with the PSOs and POs. Thank you for listening to this lecture.